This is the Black Angel in Council Bluffs, Iowa. She's been standing on the edge of Fairview Cemetery for over 100 years, and some say that from the very beginning, she's been cursed. I'm Jeff, and thanks for watching Backroads Tourist. When I was growing up in this area, I heard the rumors, the ghost stories about the Black Angel, but I never heard the actual story, which I think is more fascinating, more tragic, and more haunting than any ghost story. Let me tell you the urban legends first, and then I'll tell you the real story behind the Black Angel. In high school, I heard that if you look into the eyes of the angel and they glow at you, you're going to be dead within 2 weeks. Of course, that did prompt some pranksters to put glow-in-the-dark paint on the eyes. Teens also told the story of a teenager who painted a stripe around the Black Angel's stomach. Just days later, that teen was found dead, run over by a car, and the tire marks were exactly where he had painted the stripe on the statue. Other stories told of the angel weeping blood, or leaving her perch at night and flying around the cemetery, or waving her hand to beckon people to come closer. Now, I have another story about the Black Angel. It didn't happen to a friend of a friend. It happened to me, and I'll tell you about that in another video. So I want to tell you one more legend about the Black Angel before I tell you the true story. And the true story will convince you that even if the Black Angel isn't haunted, she probably should be. The legend says that General Grenville M. Dodge's wife, Ruth Ann, went mad after her husband passed away. She committed suicide by jumping from a second-floor window of their home. Her family is said to have put a white angel statue up in memory of her, but within 3 days, it turned black, the way you see it today. Well, that story is mostly false, but there is a grain of truth to it anyway. Ruth Ann Dodge didn't commit suicide. The angel was never white. It's made of bronze, and bronze turns dark in the elements. But the family did commission the statue to honor her, so at least that part is true. And this is where the story starts getting weird. And you like weird things, don't you? If you do, like this video, subscribe to Backroads Tourist. I go to some very obscure places, and I want to take you with me. But first, let's find out who the Dodges were. Grenville M. Dodge was a major general in the Civil War. Later, he served as a congressman and was a key figure in the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. You know, the Golden Spike thing. In fact, that's Grenville on the right shaking hands with Samuel S. Montague at the driving of the Golden Spike. Needless to say, the guy had a lot of money, but this isn't about Grenville. This is about his wife, Ruth Ann. Grenville died in 1916 at the age of 84, and his wife, Ruth Ann, died later on the same year. Ruth Ann told her daughters that she had the same dream for 3 nights. In this dream, she was on a rocky shore and saw a small boat approaching her through the mist. On the bow of the boat was a beautiful angel with a bowl of water, and each night the angel invited Ruth Ann to drink the water, saying, "Drink, I bring you both a promise and a blessing." The first 2 nights, Ruth Ann declined the invitation, but on the 3rd night, in her dream, she drank from the bowl. She told her daughters that she drank from the water of life and that it gave her immortality. Mrs. Dodge died from cancer shortly after that. Now, told properly, that might make for a fairly creepy ghost story, but things don't end there. Wait till you hear what happens next. Ruth Ann's daughters, Ann and Ella, wanted to honor their mother with an incredible memorial. In fact, it was so big that the Fairview Cemetery said they couldn't give the family the space needed for the memorial. So the daughters bought a house next to the cemetery, demolished it, and used the land for the memorial. Ann and Ella had a lot of money. They also had a lot of influence, and they wanted one of the top sculptors in the world to design this statue. So they contacted Daniel Chester French. You've never heard of Daniel Chester French? He's the guy who did this. Yeah, the Savior of the Union statue inside the Lincoln Memorial. So far, so good. They had one of the top sculptors in the world designing the statue. And Daniel Chester French wanted one of the top models in the world to be the inspiration for the statue. And that person was Audrey Munson. Today, Audrey Munson is considered America's first supermodel. She was the model for more than a dozen statues in New York City, earning her the title of Miss Manhattan. She was also the model for the Panama Pacific $50 gold coin in 1915, the Walking Liberty half dollar, The statue on the Wisconsin State Capitol building, as well as dozens and dozens of other statues and works of art throughout the world, Audrey Munson was the perfect choice for the statue of the angel. Audrey posed for the statue, and the daughters were thrilled. It was exactly what they were looking for. Even before the statue was completed, they started planning the dedication. Daniel Chester French, the sculptor, would be there, as would the First Lady of the United States. In fact, everyone who was anyone in the social fabric of Council Bluffs, Iowa, and Omaha, Nebraska, would be a part of this event. It was destined to be the social event of the year. This is where things started to go off track. In 1919, not long before the Ruth Ann Dodge Memorial was scheduled to be dedicated, Audrey Munson got caught up in a scandal. At that time, Audrey was living with her mother in a boarding house in Manhattan owned by Dr. Walter Wilkins. Wilkins became infatuated with Audrey. The only problem was he was married, so his solution was to murder his wife. At about the time of the murder, Audrey got a job offer up in Canada, so she and her mother left the country. The tabloids and newspapers had a field day with this. It would happen today, too. Imagine the headlines. A supermodel flees the country after a man kills his wife to be with her. Sounds pretty incriminating, doesn't it? Even though Audrey denied ever having a relationship with Dr. Wilkins, she was still tainted by the scandal. When the Dodge daughters heard of this, they were in shock. They couldn't have the social event of the year now, the dedication, knowing that Audrey Munson was the model for the statue. Imagine the disgrace. So they scrapped the plans for the dedication, and the Ruth Ann Dodge Memorial was unveiled without ceremony in 1920. But things don't end there. It gets sadder and creepier. Remember Walter Wilkins, the doctor who wanted to be with Audrey so much that he murdered his wife? Well, he was tried, convicted, and sentenced to die in the electric chair. But he didn't. He hanged himself in his prison cell before that sentence could be carried out. And what about Audrey Munson, America's first supermodel? The inspiration for countless statues, coins, and other works of art? Well, because of the Wilkins murder scandal, Audrey's career ended overnight. She found herself jobless and soon penniless. In 1922, she failed at a suicide attempt. On June 8, 1931, Audrey's mother petitioned a judge to have Audrey committed to a lunatic asylum. She remained in the St. Lawrence State Hospital for the Insane for 65 years until her death in 1996 at the age of 104. So let me ask you, what do you think is more haunting? The made-up stories of flying statues, glowing eyes, and death curses, or the true story of angelic visions, murder, lust, suicide, and insanity? Thanks for joining me today. I'm Jeff, and I'll see you on the back roads.